Hey guys, I am the Seaman235 and I am back with another video, and you read the title. I know. I think we all know. We know 2020 was a massive fucking dumpster fire, so I'm gonna go over that later. I have like a list of 5 things that I hated from this year, some of which may or may not be controversial. Point is, it's been quite a journey, and now it's over. It's done. We're in 2021. Well, actually, I'm still in 2021 at the time of this recording because it's literally December 31st, but this video will probably be uploaded on the 1st or the 80th, depending on when the hell I decide to, upload it. But still, it's over. And we're probably still not going to get many good years to come because of it. But hopefully 2021 will be a breathing room year, if you know what I mean. A reprieve from this shit fest. Alright, so I'm going to start with the TV show stuff, and I forgot to write something down, so let me pause. That was bothering the shit out of me. I hate my handwriting sometimes. Alright, so I'm only going to go over TV shows that I found noteworthy. I did see quite a number of them. I saw Tonikawa, or Fly Me to the Moon, I believe it's called. I saw We Never Learn, which I believe premiered this year, unless I'm wrong. There were quite a few anime I saw, some good, some bad. There were quite a few other shows I saw, some good, some bad. Oh, you know what? Clone Wars. I forgot, final season did air this year. It feels like it's been so long ago. That was before everything went to shit as well. You know, most of the shows I watched were not really noteworthy. There's really only 4 I found noteworthy, though there's 3 listed, because again, I completely forgot the final season of Clone Wars. So let's go over that first. Siege of Mandalore was fucking amazing. Oh my god. Holy shit. The animation, the lightsaber duel, Ahsoka and Rex just struggling to survive against an entire army of clones, them escaping. It's such a small conflict, but oh my god, it's so personal yet so intense. And just so violent, and I love every second of it. Oh my god, it is so good. I love it. I love it. I love Siege of Mandalore. I really can't say anything else that other people haven't already said. I might do a movie commentary of the 4 episodes. Maybe, we'll see what happens, because to me, it might as well be a movie. This fucking arc is so amazing, and if you haven't seen it, watch Clone Wars. Watch that final arc. Even if you hate the rest of the show, do it just for Siege of Mandalore. Though I guarantee you won't, because Clone Wars has some pretty awesome arcs. You know, the Umbara arc, the Fives learning about Order 66, the Obi-Wan undercover arc. There's a lot of great stuff in Clone Wars. I think both Clone Wars shows are so good, and you should watch both the 2D one and the 3D one. Just be aware the 3D one does have some pretty bad episodes, unfortunately. It is very hit and miss. More hits than misses, and the hits are so good, it's worth it, but there are some misses. But trust me, the hits are so good, especially the ones I just mentioned, it's worth it. It's worth it. You will enjoy the show if you're a Star Wars fan, even if you hated the prequels, because a lot of people, the prequels have sort of been getting, I don't want to say a bit too much praise, but they've sort of been vindicated by history, which I'm mixed on. On one hand, I agree with it, but I also think people are going a bit too far, because I do feel like the prequels still have problems. As movies, their direction is pretty bad, their acting is pretty cringy, and it has a lot of filler moments I wish they cut, and yeah, the first 2 movies are kind of boring. More so Attack of the Clones, more so than Phantom Menace. I did actually rewatch all of the main all of the Star Wars movies, actually, even the side stuff like the Clone Wars film, which really isn't a film, it's just episodes stripped together to be a film, because George Lucas, but whatever. I saw Rogue One, I saw Solo, which, God, Solo was so painfully mediocre. Point is, I did watch the prequels again. I still like Revenge of the Sith, though my movie commentary doesn't really show it, so I kind of want to redo all of the prequel movie commentaries, because the commentary in them was fine, but, like, Episode 1 and Episode 2, Episode 1 more so has shit audio. Episode 2 actually was pretty alright. Episode 3 was way too angry and negative. I don't know why. I guess I just had a bad day. And that was before Last Jedi. But anyway, I do have an appreciation for the prequels, but it's not because I grew up with them, like most people. I think the reason why the prequels are being so well received nowadays, one, because of the worst sequel trilogy, which, it's weird. Technically, I don't think it's objectively worse, but from a story standpoint, it is. It's complicated. It's very complicated. Star Wars in general is very complicated when it comes to my feelings on it. But I don't see the prequels as great movies, especially because they do have so many issues. However, the Clone Wars TV shows have validated so much of the Star Wars universe and the prequel films that it's my favorite era of Star Wars. Even more so than my nostalgia bias for the original trilogy. Now, that's not to say I do think objectively, as pieces of art, as pieces of media, the original trilogy is better. But in terms of the era, just in terms of the politics behind it, the lore, the story, fucking Palpatine, rocking fucking 2 lightsabers. Oh my god, I love Palpatine so much, and I hate what they did with you in Rise of Shitwalker. Sorry, just... I love Palpatine, and I hate Rise of Shitwalker. I hate that movie. I'm gonna try and keep it out. Man, fuck that movie. Anyway, I love the Clone Wars era. I love the Clone War era because Clone Wars, both TV shows, I don't care if one is canon and one is not, gave it so much depth. It has so many characters I love. Characters I thought I would hate and did not like at first, but I grew to love due to their journeys and character development just being so well handled. Like Ahsoka, god damn it. But like Ahsoka, show a picture of her, please. The point is, I love the era even more than I thought I would. Because, you know, when I was a kid, I liked Revenge of the Sith, but the first 2 prequels I thought were boring. Nowadays, I'm not a fan of Attack of the Clones. Phantom Menace, I think, is okay. It has its moments, and I like Darth Maul and Qui-Gon, but that's about it. Revenge of the Sith is really the only one I enjoy legit, and even that has a lot of really, really crappy lines, most of which I can't show. But the Clone Wars TV show legitimizes and validates so much of what goes on in those movies. I don't know if I could say it makes some good movies, but it does make the story and the lore just so much more compelling. And, you know, a lot of people give credit to Dave Filoni, but George does deserve a lot of the credit. I feel like he really took a lot of... As harsh as some of the criticism was, and you can argue how harsh it was, I think it was way too harsh. I think some people went way overboard. Even I've been guilty of it at times. I will fully admit to that. But looking back on this TV show and George's involvement in it, I really feel like this TV show was made as an apology for how the prequels turned out. Not necessarily for the stories or the ideas, but more so for, like, I feel like he wanted to address a lot of the complaints. The acting is better. The direction is better. He got some people who can make up for the problems that he suffers with when filming and directing, since it wasn't what it used to be. But it still has his story touch-ups. And when it comes to building lore, building an interesting universe and interesting ideas, that's when George is at his best. It was a happy combination of the two. And that's something that I really respect. I've grown to respect this cartoon way more over the years. I always liked the cartoon. I always said it was a good show. Even in my movie commentaries, you can actually note, I do say the 3D cartoon, while not as good as the 2D one, was still great. And I dismiss that now. I think both shows are just as good, but for different reasons. Because I've grown such an appreciation for the CG show because of George's involvement, because of Dave Filoni and his team, because of everybody behind it. Even if the episodes weren't always perfect, there was an amazing arc right around the corner, and so many things I love about the universe would not have happened or would not have been legitimized if it weren't for this show. So to the people behind it, thank you so much. And that includes you, Dave Filoni, and yes, even George Lucas. I think he deserves the biggest thank you of all. He did create the show and the franchise, after all. Without him, none of this would be possible. So, now that I'm done with my thank yous, I guess, Season 7 was kind of hit and miss. I know it's kind of weird to say that after I just got done praising Siege of Mandalore, but let's be honest here. The Bad Batch was essentially a backdoor pilot, which is good, because I like the Bad Batch. I love them as characters. I found them so fun. I love the big guy who loves explosions. He's probably my favorite. Yeah, he's generic. Yeah, he's typical. But he's so much fucking fun, and he's so funny. Also, I love the scene where Anakin kills, that one general that came back. Oh my god, that was disturbing as fuck. It shows just how far Anakin has kind of gone without Ahsoka, because I think if Ahsoka were there, he would have stopped him from doing that, but he just does not give a shit anymore. Though they do keep in the fact that he retaliated, he killed the general out of retaliation, not because he wanted to. That would not come until Dooku, which was very important. So, good attention to detail. The animation was stellar, as, it's just gotten better over time, and oh my god, it's so good, and Bad Batch is keeping the animation style, and oh, it's so good. However, the Ahsoka Sisters Arc, yeah, it's pretty generic. I don't hate it as much as most people do. I don't actually hate the sisters that much. I just kind of find the older one a bit annoying, though the younger one can grate at times. It's just very mediocre. I don't plan to watch it ever again. Hell, one of the episodes is just pointless because it's them trying to escape their prison cell, and they get captured again, so it ultimately means nothing. It's pretty generic, pretty mediocre. It did not need to be 4 episodes. I would have loved it if we got the Utapau arc that was unfinished, with Anakin and Obi-Wan reflecting off of Ahsoka's absence and her leaving the temple. That was supposed to be a Season 6 episode, and I miss that so much, because it was such a good moment. Please watch that on YouTube, or just watch the entire arc if you can, because I don't know if it's canon. It probably still is. I really wish we got to see that reanimated. It probably will never happen, but I really would like it if they would have done that. Like, even if it was just a 2-parter, if you could cut it down, just to have those moments. We still get some of that, but it's not as much as I would like, and that is kind of an issue. This season really didn't feel like a finale until Siege of Mandalore, and it kind of just awkwardly cuts from the Sisters Arc to Siege of Mandalore. I mean, there's a reason for it. They lead up to it, but the way they do is just awkward, and yeah, the season's probably one of the lower-end seasons. It's really held up together with Scotch tape. That Scotch tape being really strong, because that Scotch tape is Siege of Mandalore. That is what you are here for. It's on the advertising. It's in most of the posters. The Siege of Mandalore and the Bad Batch arc are the highlights. The other arc is pretty eh. But even the Bad Batch arc doesn't really feel like final season material. Why is it in the finale? Why is it in the final season? Why is it one of the final arcs? I mean, it was a good thing for Rex, and it does help with his, realization on what's happening, and him, just realizing he's going up against all of his brothers when he takes off his helmet in that one moment where he's talking to Ahsoka, literally in tears, which was, so heartbreaking. But at the same time, I feel like, considering Rex's character throughout the entire show, and especially with the Umbara arc, I feel like we kind of got enough of that. This season it does a lot to reinforce it, but that's really about it. You could have placed it in Season 6, and honestly, I would have been fine with it. But, now that it's in the final season, it doesn't feel right, I also feel like the season should have been longer. Why was it just 12 episodes? I think that's the lowest episode count we've ever gotten. Even lower than Season 6. I get that the animation is really good, but one of the arcs, and hell, even the next two arcs, had animatics and CG models and stuff that were, just reused from unfinished episodes, and some from finished episodes. So, I don't know, I feel like you could have had maybe 16 episodes, or 20, or hell, even 15. Squeeze another two-parter in there, especially with the Utapau arc still being unfinished. You could have totally done that. I don't know, I feel like the season was a bit uneven. It was still worth it just for Siege of Mandalore, though. Alright, so I guess since I'm talking about Star Wars a lot, I guess I might as well talk about The Mandalorian. Now, The Mandalorian Season 2 is still a bit new, so I'm gonna keep spoilers to a minimum, but oh my god, this season was so much better than Season 1, and Season 1 I would give a 9 out of 10, so it's really good. There are some things I do have nitpicks over, but overall, I love how this season was. I know some people weren't a fan of how people sort of came to the realization that The Mandalorian was very story-to-story focused, if that makes any sense. It's very episodic. It's not really something that it can be binged, and I'm gonna binge it because I want to, but it is also meant to be a very week-to-week, episode-to-episode show with varying degrees in length, and a lot of people are starting to kind of bitch about that. I'm gonna be honest here, I actually kind of prefer it. Now, I don't like not being allowed to binge it, and I just wish they would kind of dump it all. I know a lot of people are kind of growing weary of that, but I feel like you can have a show where you can just dump all of the episodes so people can binge it multiple times, like I would. And, for people who want it to be week to week, just watch an episode a week. You still have that option. Don't take away options from us because you prefer that way. We can have both. And on top of it, you don't need to make Mandalorian a much more plot-heavy show. I mean, I wouldn't mind if they wanted to take that direction later on, similar to what Rebels had, but I'm fine with what Mandalorian does. I think it's actually a breath of fresh air, to be honest. It kind of reminds me of how Samurai Jack was, with a little more progression, granted, but, I love what Mandalorian has done. And it's not as if the plot screeched to a halt. I mean, the only time I really got annoyed with it was Episode 2. Where, while the episode was fine, I just feel like, oh shit, we got Boba Fett, and we were on Tatooine, we had this great start, and now we're kind of just stuck. It made up for it, thankfully, with Episode 3, with Bo-Katan, and, going more into the Mandalorian history from Rebels and Clone Wars, getting name-dropped of Ahsoka, seeing Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka, and seeing more of the original characters from Season 1, all of that was fantastic. The rest of the season after Episode 2 is fantastic. Episode 1 I thought was fantastic as well. Episode 2, could have been better. It was fine. I know a lot of people bitched about how the child was eating essentially babies. Yeah, okay, I know they were, they were unfertilized eggs or whatever. Like, I don't care. They were the mother's children. He was essentially eating babies of a near extinct species. To me, I thought it was funny. I don't know, maybe I just have more of a tolerance for dark humor. I do find the Joker from The Dark Knight hilarious, and his first scene is where he shoves a pencil into someone's eyeball. So, maybe I'm just a sick fucker, but, I tolerate, if not love, dark humor, so maybe I'm just a bigot. I don't know, but I found it funny. Also, Anita Sarkeesian, go fuck yourself with the boob armor comments. I gave you shit for that on Twitter, and fuck you for that. If anything, saying boob armor is sexist, but, I'm not going to go into that anymore. It's just dumb. There were a lot of dumb critiques of Mandalorian that were it just make me raise an eyebrow. Not, I don't mind if people criticize the show. Hell, I know there are some people who flat out despised Episode 2 and thought it was a bad episode. I disagreed. I said, it's an okay episode, it's filler. But a lot of people thought, oh, well, it's just, I didn't care for it. I'm like, okay, Boba Fett, he kind of was just here just to be here. Yeah, he had a purpose, I guess, but compared to all of the other cameos and characters, he was definitely the least natural of all of the characters. He was just sort of here to be here. I don't mind, because I like Boba Fett, and the nostalgia baiting works because I wanted to see more of him in live action, and bringing back Tamora Morrison, I believe that's his name, as Boba Fett was amazing, and I squeed when he used the sound bomb in Attack of the Clones. I squeed for something that was in one of my least favorite Star Wars films. If a show can make me do that, it's doing something right. I enjoyed Mandalorian Season 2. Yeah, it was very fan service-y, but I also like to think there was a reason for most of it. Ahsoka and Bo-Katan make sense, and that one character, do not spoil him. I know who he is, but I don't want people to know until they watch it. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it. He's in the finale. He was great, and he fit the plot perfectly. And I really want to see him, because it's a guy, and Ahsoka meet up. Probably know who I'm talking about just from that, but go see it anyway. It's a good show. See it. Also, the production values are amazing, and we got a shit ton of new Star Wars shows as well, which I might have to do a separate video on. A lot of them are spin-offs of The Mandalorian, and some of them are spin-offs of the final season of Clone Wars. So, yeah. I really don't have too much to say on Season 2 of Mandalorian. I really feel like if I'm gonna critique it, I should do it by an episode-by-episode thing, because that's kind of the way the show was meant to be viewed as. But I'll just say the entire season is fantastic. Episode 2 was probably the weakest, but it wasn't bad, it was just fluff. But every other episode is just phenomenal. I'm going to be watching the entirety of the series. I'm just going to be binging it again, because I want to. It's so good. And speaking of so good, Don Machi Season 3. Yeah, I watched Don Machi. Come on, go ahead. Give me ridicule. Yeah, okay, I like Hestia. What about it? Oh yeah, because I'm sure your history is squeaky clean with all that sexual shit you look up. I don't know what that was about. Anyway. Yeah, I watched Don Machi. Get fucked. This season was fantastic. Surprisingly so. Now, Don Machi is a show I really enjoy, and I'm a big fan of. I'm not a hardcore fan. I haven't read the light novels. I don't even know if they're in English yet. Maybe some of them are. I've read some of the side stories. I do a lot of research on some of the arcs that were left out of the TV show. But I just really mainly watch the anime, because that's more my thing. Wow, this season was really good. The first two seasons were okay. The first two seasons, they did their job. The first season was a good introduction. Season 2 was much better, but also slower paced, which I feel was a good thing, because I felt like Season 1 went a bit fast. Apparently, Season 1 covered like 5 light novels, and Season 2 covered like 3. And this season covers 3 as well, which I think was a better way to go, so I'm happy they did that. Season 2 was much better, but I feel like it wasn't much better from the first season. It was just a good continuation, and the characters and scenarios introduced were fun. But this season goes to a very, very complex, dark, and interesting story. Much more interesting and much more intricate than any other. Okay, so Danmachi, for some background. It is a show about characters. It's a harem show, so, you know, that's pretty simple to grasp. But it's also a show that takes place in a RPG world. But it's not an isekai because the characters we follow have been here forever. Even our main protagonist, Bell. He is not somebody from the real world, quote-unquote, being thrusted into a fantasy world after he dies or whatever. No, Bell is just another guy from the world. Now, we do know that he is related to a certain somebody, who I won't spoil. Yeah, but he is the typical goody two-shoes, I'm a nice guy, I'm gonna do the right thing, I want to be a hero character. However, unlike most other characters, I like Bell because he actually has to work and he actually has to try to get all of the overpowered powers he has, and even then, he's not even overpowered. He gets his ass handed to him, and whenever he wins by the skin of his own teeth, which makes the battles more intense, more thrilling. He's very honorable. He desperately wants to save as many people as he can. He is very naive, but he also is a likable dork, which is kind of why I enjoy him, you know? He's not, you know, Kirito, I'm a nice guy, but also kind of a douche. But also, I'm good at everything, so I don't need to try. Bell is a character who actually has to grow and learn and push himself to be stronger and better. And even he has his flaws that he has to learn to get over. So, you know, he's a character. So, yeah, that's nice. I know, like, this shouldn't be high praise, but trust me, for a harem lead, that is a novelty. More of a novelty than it really should be. Especially for, like, a RPG fantasy show, harem, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, he's much better than his contemporaries. And he's voiced by Kirito in the Japanese version, so that's interesting. But that aside, this season was fantastic. So the season starts off with Bell saving a monster, and Danmachi has established that while monsters can grow and learn and adapt, that's about all they could do. Little did we know they could do a lot more. There are some monsters who can speak and have feelings, and, you know, they are just like us, just monstrous. You know, there are monsters who can think and feel and, you know, have aspirations and grow and learn and even speak. They can speak our languages and talk to us like normal people. And I like how we didn't just get the cute dragon girl or the harpy. No, we got like a lizard man, we got a gargoyle, we got a fucking minotaur. That Minotaur has a lot more to do with Bell than I thought. He kind of came out of nowhere. I kind of wish they built him up a bit more, but I do think the end result was still very good, and the animation in that one fight with him and Bell is fucking amazing. Like, goddamn, they really wanted to show Bell getting his ass whooped. But what's really interesting is what this does to the characters. How do they feel about the fact that the monsters they were killing have a voice? They can speak, they can cry, they can get scared. They hate adventurers because they kill so many monsters and feel like they desperately plead to be saved. They desperately just want to be a part of their society, but they know they're looked down upon because they're monsters. It's kind of part of the whole deal. Adventurers kill monsters to level up. That's been established. But what if the monsters grew consciences? What if they grew feelings? What if they grew a heart in many ways? And we even actually learn that monsters can also reincarnate. They do reincarnate. The Minotaur is actually the Minotaur from Season 1, but you're like, wait, he was killed. Well, he was reincarnated. He has memories of fighting Bell and wants to fight him again. That's why he fights him at the end of the season. So we actually realize that some monsters might be closer to people or elves or whatever than we realize. Which really puts Bell in a tough spot, because after growing a bond with Weene, I don't know why she's called that, it's a bit of a weird name, but whatever, I don't care. Weene, after growing a bond with her, and Lid, who is one of my favorite new characters introduced, he doesn't really know if he should kill monsters or not, because, like, what if they're just like them? What if they become like them? I'm effectively killing a living creature with feelings and everything. But this also kind of makes him a hypocrite, and he sort of has to realize this and come to terms with it, despite the fact that, you know, he wants to get stronger, but the people he kills to get stronger also might just be living creatures. It makes Bell have a sense of, like, what am I doing? It kind of makes him not necessarily have a mental breakdown. It almost does. Trust me, it does. But at the same time, it kind of makes him, like, worry and feel a bit guilty about killing monsters, and it's essentially putting the goody two-shoes hero in a non-black and white situation. Besides Dix, and he's the villain. Yes, his name is Dix. Get your jokes out. But yeah, he's probably the only for sure bad guy, and he's dead about halfway through the season, and thank God, because he was probably my least favorite part of it. Generally speaking, though, besides Bell and Dix, they're the only black and white kind of morality kind of thing in this season. Bell is because he's the hero. Dix is the for real serious bad guy, but he's killed halfway through. The villains that take his place is the Loki Familia and Eyes, who Bell respects and looks up to. And now she has to fight Bell, and he has to fight her, and that causes a lot of drama, which leads to a great moment near the end of the season. It's one of those where Bell doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know who he is anymore. He's wondering, like, I've been killing all of these monsters who could have possibly had a conscience, but the monster, even the Xenos, however, state, most monsters are mindless. If you go easy on us and don't kill us, you won't get stronger and you will die. So if you have to kill monsters, do it. Don't not defend yourself on our behalf. Lid is actually the one who says that, which is one of my reasons why Lid is probably one of the best characters in the show. It's just such a complex situation, and so many different characters besides Bell have different ways to feel about it. Eyes has a certain realization, the Loki Familia has their own opinions, everyone in Bell's Familia, even Hestia, they all have, their own feelings about it. Not all of them agree with Bell. Sure, they go along with him, but even, like, Lily, who is, one of the thief characters, she's the main thief of the Hestia Familia, she does not like helping monsters. She points out how it's a bad idea. It'll get their guild into serious trouble. But Bell does it because he feels he has to. He's grown a bond with Weene. But this also puts him in trouble with the townsfolk because, especially the Loki Familia, because they realize you're protecting monsters. Monsters have killed so many of us. They're just mindless. Why are you defending them? But Bell knows that, oh shit, no, they're living creatures. You can't do this. It's a lot better than what I'm making out to be. But still, it's a really interesting situation. I really enjoyed Danmachi Season 3. I like how it took steps into a darker, more complex story. Even though the characters, besides Bell, don't get as much attention, they get enough attention. We actually get to see their perspectives. Some of the people that Bell works with don't really like the idea of supporting monsters. There's a video by a channel I follow. I forget the name of it. Please put it on screen, future me. I'll have a link to that video, because he has a video on Danmachi Season 3 below that I think covers why this season is so good. And I'm hoping the future material from the light novels adapted, I hope they are just as interesting as, and just so, as character-driven as this season was. Alright, enough positivity. It's time to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens, which is a show I used to like, but am now kind of mixed. I've watched about 14 episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens, and I don't know. Alright, so Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been taking a bit of a different direction, and it's actually not a direction I'm opposed to. I like the idea of Sevens trying a new style of dueling instead of adding a new summoning mechanic. Instead, it just decided to take away the restrictions that Link format had, which, I mean, I didn't mind Link format. I had issues with it when it started, but after I gave it a shot, it kind of clicked. But what we have now is much better, so, you know, Master Rule 5 all the way, baby. My Stardust Dragon can get out of the field, and Link's can't do a goddamn thing about it. The only thing Link's really impact is pendulums, which I don't mind, because I never really enjoyed pendulums. I mean, I enjoy using pendulums, but I didn't like how it was set up, and now they pretty much fixed my issues. See, Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens, I feel like it is a breath of fresh air in a number of ways. A lot of people bitched about how there were too many characters. To be fair, Vrains kind of fixed this, but also had its fair share of useless characters. Pretty much anyone that wasn't Yusaku or Soulburner, and even Soulburner kind of became useless by the end of the show. Well, maybe Revolver. Revolver was probably one of my favorite rivals in Yu-Gi-Oh! He's probably the best part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. But Sevens, the new art style kind of turns me off. I don't mind the character designs. I actually like the 4 main leads. You know, Roman is probably my favorite. She's adorable, and some of the stuff she does is really adorable and funny. Yuga is probably my second favorite, just because he is just a sarcastic asshole, and since I'm a sarcastic dickhead, I kind of like him because of that. But I feel like the biggest issue is 14 episodes in, and we really haven't gone much of anywhere. We've done some things, we've learned about a few things, but generally speaking, it's mostly about the comedy, and I kind of want the show to get... I know apparently the show is starting to head into the plot, kind of, but, you know, if it takes, like, 28 episodes to really get into the main story and the idea of the Goha Corporation, I believe it's called, which supposedly controls everything, which is the main focus of the show. You know, a corporation that controls and manipulates everything. Every single thing. Apparently they were based on China and their leadership, which is fucked up, but what else is new for Yu-Gi-Oh? The point is, it's a cool idea for a show, but they're not doing anything with it as far as I'm aware. I mean, they've done a few things with it. I know one of the characters is like a spy and a mother as well. I don't know. I stopped watching. Maybe I need to keep watching, but 14 episodes in, it just wasn't doing it for me. I will say the main leads are funny. They work when it comes, you know, the comedy is really fun. But again, it just kind of feels like the show is spinning its wheels a bit too much, which is kind of what happened with Vrains. Now, Vrains is much worse because it had, you know, the main leads in 7 are fun. They're funny. They're not the most interesting, but they're funny. Yusaku is not interesting. Revolver is awesome. Soulburner became awesome in the second half of the show once he stopped. They decided to actually make him a character and not some dumb Gary Stu self-insert fanfic character voiced by Yuki Kaji. But, you know, he became a better character, but Soulburner's start was fucking terrible. Oh my god. And Aoi, Sky in the dub, because I can't pronounce Aoi for shit. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I'm sorry. She was useless. I mean, I liked her in Season 1, but after her duel against Spectre, she pretty much dropped off the face of the fucking planet. I don't know, it's just... After Reigns, I'm very worried for the future of the franchise. You know, Arc 5 kind of started it, but Reigns was really the pinnacle of what the hell is the anime doing? Like, what are we doing with this franchise? What the fuck is this? And Sevens really isn't alleviating... I thought it would, but it's not really alleviating any of my complaints. Oh well. I mean, yeah. Maybe later episodes get better. I've heard they do. Hopefully they're right. You know, I like Roman. She's really cute. Like, seriously, she's adorable. Like, a lot of her, like, reactions and a lot of her lines are just so freaking funny and adorable. I hope they don't fuck her up like they did Yuzu, because Yuzu had a great start. Aoi had a great start, but Yuzu, what happened? And Aoi, yeah, you're still here? Really the only female character that really had an arc, you know, throughout most of the series was Aki, and even Aki wasn't perfect, because in the second half, she had a great start and a great end in the second half. But then the middle portion, she just lost a lot, and she was a bench warmer at best. They even called her a bench warmer, which makes me mad, because Aki should be more than just a bench warmer. I still like Aki, but like, goddamn, she was, she even had wasted potential. Don't fuck up your main female character this time, please. Okay. That's pretty much it for the TV side of things, so I guess I can talk about the movies, or movie. The Sonic movie, which I've already made a video on. Yeah, I already made a video on it, so you can go watch it. It does have a tasteless joke in it, so just ignore that. I already apologized for it. The apology still stands. It's not a good joke, but everything else about the video is pretty much fine, so whatever. Don't really have much else to say. Haven't seen the movie since. Maybe it'll change. Might have to buy it on Blu-ray, but like, you know, yeah. It's a good movie. I like it. Considering the shit show that it was behind the scenes, I'm genuinely shocked. Afterwards, we have the games, and there's barely any. I guess we should get the obvious out of the way. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity Bamity. I call it that sometimes because it's funny. But yeah, Age of Calamity is a great game. I do prefer the first Hyrule Warriors, and I have a video coming up that will explain why I enjoy that. It's just a let's talk. It's not like a review or anything, though it is long. It's just an unscripted talks a lot, let's talk video, so it's nothing special, but it is something more positive. Yeah, I 100%ed it, if that means anything. That must mean I enjoyed it. I have issues with the story, I have issues with some of the stuff it did, but I do think it is a great game. The combat is much better. I do miss some of these strategic elements, like morale and the lack of capturing keeps. I mean, it's still there, but it's nowhere near as focused on. It's more of a generic hack and slash, but at the very least, because the combat is so much better, I feel like it can make up for its lack of strategic depth with combat depth, and it did that. It was smart on how it was made. But yeah, I want to make a video on it, but I kind of want to wait and see what the DLC is, because we know the game is not finished. It's well worth its $60 price tag, in my opinion, but at the same time, it is something that it's gonna get more content, so really, I don't want to talk about it much here. I have a lot of issues with the story. Like, it's probably the best story campaign out of the 3 Nintendo Warrior Trilogy games, but it's still... I'm gonna talk about this when I do my 2020 rant. But yeah, I have issues with it. We have Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which... Oh my god. Alright, so I made a little mini rant about limited releasing shit, and it still stands. Also, if I can show a small video of the cartridge, why the fuck is the logo off-centered? Why is it off-centered? It bothers the fuck out of me. Like, this fucking collection is so half-assed and so half-hearted. I don't care if they patched some of the issues. It's still embarrassing. It was worth it for me because I never owned Sunshine, and I'm not about to spend $60 on it. And I didn't own Mario 64, never played Mario 64. I am happy I finally got to experience these games and fully finish Galaxy. I even actually got all 120 stars and got half of the stars as Luigi. I really enjoy the games, except Sunshine. I'm not a fan of Sunshine. It's not all bad, but I thought Sunshine was very disappointing, very poorly made, not very good in my opinion. I'm sorry to any Sunshine fans, I didn't enjoy it. Maybe I'll make a video on it, maybe I won't, I'm not really sure. I think I might get people mad. If you enjoy it, that's fine. I think, for what it's worth, Mario's movement capabilities with FLUDD are awesome, and I do think a Sunshine sequel should be made. Especially if they do some fixes from Odyssey in terms of control. Yeah, it could totally work. But yeah, Sunshine, not really my favorite. But I do enjoy Mario 64. I enjoy it more than Sunshine. Yes, I know, I'm weird. You know, I think Mario 64 has aged generally pretty well, which is surprising because a lot of people don't really feel the way I do. I mean, you have to keep in mind, this was the first major 3D collectathon platformer, besides maybe Crash, which I think Mario 64 came out first. You have to remember when you play it, the game is... It's aged like milk. It is a game that it was made at a very different time. And if you set your expectations accordingly, this is actually a pretty great game. I think it holds up relatively well. I think it's definitely an important game. I will admit 100%ing it is a pain. And there are a lot of stars I just don't want to get. I haven't done it yet. I still have 20 stars to get, and some of them... But yeah, I enjoyed it in spite of its flaws. And at times because of them, because sometimes glitching Mario 64 is really funny. Though, to be fair, the Shindo version, they took out a lot of the most fun stuff, which is dumb, because Mario 64 has a big speedrunning community, so like, why? Then you have Galaxy, which is really good, but man... They could have done better with how they let you control the game. I do like having the spin set to a button now, but recalibrating controls I know a lot of people don't like. I don't mind it, but there are times where it drifts way too much. It's very inaccurate compared to the original. If I'm being honest here, like, the games themselves play fine, but the collection as a whole is my biggest issue. You know, Galaxy is a great game. It's my favorite of the three easily. It looks gorgeous at 1080p. It's just so beautiful. Playing it was a joy. The Bowser fight was actually fun, which is rare for Mario 3D games. Yes, I even include the one from Odyssey. I love Pimp Bowser, but that boss fight was not really great in my opinion. I did like playing as him though. That was fun. But anyway, the point is, Galaxy is great, Sunshine not so much, but I know some people are fans of it, so I'm not going to bitch about it too much. 64, I like. My big issue was that, one, why wasn't 64 a remake? Like, I can understand Sunshine and Galaxy not getting remakes. You know, Galaxy is already near perfect, and Sunshine isn't, but I don't really think you can do much to make it good, at least in my opinion. 64, however, I think you could have, because there is another version of the N64 title, Super Mario 64 DS. You could have lifted the content from that game, and you could have made that a part of the collection, but, like, you could have had the new content there, or, like, have two versions of Mario 64. And why isn't Galaxy 2 there? I mean, I have it for the Wii. I haven't played it yet, but I'm going to. So it's not that big of a deal, but I would much rather play it on my Switch, warts and all, than play it on my Wii. Because I don't really want to touch my Wii, unless it's for GameCube games. My Wii is pretty much my GameCube machine. You know, I can play it on my Wii U, but I don't want to dust off my Wii U. Wii U, Wii U. It's such a half-assed collection. And why is there just 3 games? There were 4 games. Actually, no. There was a version of Super Mario All-Stars that had 5 games. Mario 1, both Mario 2s, Mario 3, and Mario World, all with remade graphics and changes. I don't know what this game's excuse was. And the limited release bullshit just made it so much worse. So yeah, not a very good compilation. Would not recommend buying it unless you really just don't have a way to play these games on their original hardware, which for the first 2 entries of this collection might very well be the case. So get them before they leave the Nintendo. They go into the Nintendo vault for the rest of history until Nintendo wants to get off their high horses and re-release them for a limited time again. Yeah, we have to perform the fucking Disney Vault shit, because people loved the Disney Vault, inflating fucking prices up the wazoo. I made a mini rant about it, just go watch that if you want my opinions on the limited release. Anyway, the last thing I played, which actually was the first of these 3, the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo. Yeah, not the full game, just the demo. It was good, but I haven't played. I haven't finished the original. And considering where I know how the remake ends, because I know how it ends, I know what happens, and how the original is essentially essential information, which I'm kind of mixed on. Yeah, I kind of want to finish the original first. I'll get around to it one day. Okay, RPGs are long. I did like what I played of 7, even if it was a bit simplistic, but I know it's because Midgar is when the game doesn't open up. It's not opened up yet. It's a giant tutorial setting the stage. I got to the point where the game opens up and gets really good, and I stopped. I will finish it. I want to. I enjoyed, the music and story alone made me want to finish it, because, goddamn, the music is so fucking good in Final Fantasy VII. Oh my god, it's so amazing. I don't care what... It's overrated. Look, if you think the game is overrated, fine. If you think the soundtrack is overrated, you're an idiot. Just gonna say that now. But yeah, I played the remake demo. It was good. But I'm not gonna get the full game yet. Hell, it's not even really out yet, so... yeah. And that's all of what I did in 2020. I think I padded out this video long enough. Usually, this video would be split into parts, but it's probably not going to be. It's probably just going to be a 2-hour video, because I hate myself. But on top of that, I mean, there wasn't that much. Notice how I kind of padded out the video by talking about a bunch of stuff that really, I didn't have to go into these topics as much as I did. Probably because I didn't have much to talk about. I spent more with my backlog when it came to video games. I watched past movies I've seen before, or movies I've never seen but didn't come out this year, so they shouldn't count. And I watched a lot of new TV shows, but TV shows are easy to keep up with, and not all of them are something I want to spend time making a fucking thesis over. So, I got all of this off my chest. Overall, I would actually say when it comes to media in 2020, movies sucked. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But gaming, I think, given the circumstances, was generally pretty good, even with its rocky ups and downs. yes, this is probably the worst year for games in the entire, like, it's probably the worst year since 2015, 2016. But generally speaking, 2020, considering the circumstances, I can understand why it was kind of a weak year. Nintendo had a pretty bad year, if I'm being honest here. Yeah, Animal Crossing and Hyrule Warriors, be damned. But all of the drama surrounding them recently, oh, I'm gonna get to it. So, yeah, not really worth it. But the other companies, I think, did well, given the circumstances. I wish PS5s and Series X's weren't as much of a bitch to get. Thankfully, I'm not getting any of them until next year, when they're restocked, but that doesn't make up for people who haven't received theirs. Guys, male, I hate you. TV shows I thought were, pretty good. Yeah, it was hit for a while, but it got better over time, so again, given the circumstances, I understand why a lot of media was kind of hit and miss this year, so I'm going to be more forgiving than I usually am, because a lot of people were hit with this. I'm not going to give, like, a pass to everything, like Nintendo and Cyberpunk, stuff like that, but generally speaking, I will give a pass to some of the kinda not great moments of, media this year, because, simply put, it just isn't their fault. It's not fair to judge them because, oh, they aren't putting out enough content. Yeah, there's a pandemic going on. Of course I'm not going to do that. That's just rude. But yeah, 2020, given the circumstances, could have been a lot worse for media. For stories, for games, for movies, for TV, could have been worse. The rest of the year, on the other hand, we'll get to that. So join me next time. I'm gonna bitch about what pissed me off in 2020, and boy, there's a lot of people who piss me off.